Hey guys, it's Krystle back at it again with another video. I'm right in the middle of midterm season here at Columbia, and so I thought it would be fun to make a video for you guys showing you how I study and take notes during exams. So today I have a few midterms both in the humanities and STEM, so it should be pretty comprehensive. Hopefully you guys can pick up a few tips and tricks. So please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for lots more content just like this, and let's get right into it. So as you can see, what I'm doing right now is using my highlighter to box key terms in my notes and then to underline the definitions. I used to not add any color to my notes at all, and I'm so glad I started doing it because now my eyes know exactly where to go, especially when I'm really pointing out the key terms like this, so I find it super helpful. And I also used to kind of write down everything that I read in the textbook, but I definitely try not to do that anymore. I really focus on writing down the important information such as equations and key terms, and I really make sure to box in for myself certain periods of time when I know that I don't have anything else to do and I'm just going to study during that time using the Pomodoro method or whatever else I'm trying out at that moment that I think is going to be helpful to me. If you treat school like a 9-to-5 job and you don't stop work for the day until everything is done, or you have a plan for how you're going to get it done tomorrow or throughout the rest of the week, whatever your deadline might be, it makes it so much easier not to procrastinate and to make sure that you're not pushing all your work until the very last minute. That way, I also know well in advance if I need to go to any of the online help rooms that Columbia has for some of the departments, like statistics, where there are TAs and they're so nice and helpful. But if I don't do my studying beforehand, I would have no idea that I needed to go and ask some questions. So what I'm doing here, as you guys can see, is writing down those equations, doing those practice problems, making sure that I am working through each problem, because that is how your memory actively recalls information instead of just passively reading through past tests or even just reading through your own notes. As you guys can see, I also like to use different colors of highlighters to mark down all the different kinds of information. So purple or lavender is for writing down headers like chapter titles or different section titles, or even just the name of a really important law or theorem or equation. Yellow is for signing in, as I like to call it, with the date and the week of every time that I'm starting a new page of notes, and also for circling really important information and drawing connections with arrows to new little tidbits that I want to put in. And then blue is for, like I talked about before, with boxing those key terms and underlining the definitions. I also use more of a vertical format than a mind map, especially for STEM classes, just because I like having the ability to do bullet points and indent certain subjects under others. I really like this system. It's not so artistic that it takes me hours to write out my notes, but I still feel like I'm able to find everything and my eye is able to go across the page. I'm currently using Pilot Friction highlighters in lavender, yellow, and blue. They have this pretty nice chiseled tip that is pretty good for either really thin lines or really thick ones, so they definitely serve my purpose. It's not a whole ton of artistic supplies or anything like that, but it's perfect for me. And I'm also currently using Muji Black 0.5mm tip pen, and I liked it so much that I started using all these different colors too, but unfortunately never figured out how to hold them properly, so please enjoy this footage of me scrambling. I use yellow loose leaf paper to write out practice problems from the problems and exercises in the back of each chapter. Some of my textbooks also have overall exercises for different sections that encompass multiple chapters, which is super helpful, especially when your exam is covering a bunch of different topics like mine is. And that's what I think is the most important for STEM classes, but for humanities, I am such a huge Quizlet buff. I do all the different games. Anyone remember like vintage Quizlet back when it was like Space Race and completely different games? Good times. They're still super helpful today though, and gamification has been really psychologically proven to help with memory retention. So it's not just flashcards, even though that's super helpful too. And one really big pro tip that I have for you guys is if you don't want to go through the trouble of making a Quizlet set with all these terms like I have to study here, look up the name of your professor online and see if someone already has made a set, because chances are they probably have. For humanities courses, I also really like going over the PowerPoint slides that my teachers put together now that we're all online. As you guys know, I've been doing online school actually since I was in kindergarten. I started as a kindergarten dropout, 1 week into public school, started doing it online, and ended up graduating from the Stanford University Online High School. So slides and having these classes over Zoom is something that I'm pretty familiar with. But I still think that it can be super helpful because, especially when you have classes that are pretty image heavy, it's amazing to see how the teacher really puts things as concisely as possible the way they want you to learn them. Once again, though, we always want to make sure that we're not just trying to passively learn and absorb information, and so that's why I always try and make sure that I'm taking notes that synthesize what I'm learning. I call these exam notes, and I write them out in green ink, whereas I do my pre-class notes, which are for the reading in red ink, and during class notes in black ink. And I sign in with the day and what week it is, and then I start out trying to do things like compare and contrast and figure out sort of argumentative and analytical angles that really consolidate everything that I'm learning into connections and synthesizations. So here I'm making a similarities and differences list for the 3 different kinds of performance styles that I'm studying in one of my classes, Theater Traditions in a Global Context. So I'm just writing all of those out and thinking about what connects them all and what differentiates them, which is also something that my teachers had to focus on, so I really wanted to write it down because also handwriting things, physically moving that pen with your hand can really make a difference in how you're absorbing it, as opposed to typing things out, which I also love to do because it's so convenient, but hey, a little handwriting never killed nobody. And then I'll take my highlighter and I will try and draw different angles and arrows and points of comparison. So I'll try and see what kinds of similarities are connected to the differences in what way. And it's kind of like making a pros and cons list, but going even deeper with it. Then finally, I also think it's really important to take good care of yourself while you're studying so you're not just sitting the whole time. So Columbia was having a virtual Pilates fitness day, so I decided to sign in and do some Pilates alongside some of my classmates, and it was a really nice way to get all the blood flowing in my body, which is also scientifically shown to help you actually with creating new memories, which, as you guys know, is what studying is all about. So getting your workout in instead of just sitting the whole time can really make a difference, not just for your physical state of being, but also for your mental state of being. Both are super, super important, and I hope that you guys don't neglect either, especially while we're in quarantine. Maybe we're not moving around as much as we used to be, and I know that I found this really helpful just for waking myself up, and I absolutely felt way more alert afterwards, so 10 out of 10 would recommend. And then I felt ready to go onto Canvas and hit start quiz.